You're in the La La Lounge and this is our podcast.
Well, welcome to the La La Lounge. This is our first podcast here. Today I am joined by the very wonderful Helen Simons, who seriously has musical knowledge coming out of her ears. You know so much about music. You've had your own radio shows, DJ'd in Berlin in the 70s, which would have been amazing. So we're here to talk about what we're doing at the La La Lounge. So for those who don't know, the La La Lounge has been set up online for our choir sing sisters to continue to sing in this social isolation time. So choosing the song was my job as the choir leader, and I did come to the conclusion that Somewhere Over the Rainbow is the song that we are going to do, and I'm so glad I did. So out of interest, how many colours are in the rainbow, Helen?
Well, there are actually 7 colours of the spectrum: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet.
Beautiful. And they all come through in the song. Every one of those colours shines through. It's such a beautiful song. So I'd love you today to give us a little bit of a history on the song, who wrote it, how we came to understand the lyrics. I just know the lyrics do touch a lot of people. The song itself touches a lot of people. When I said that I was actually going to be doing this song online, I got emails from the girls that are wanting to join us, telling me how much the song meant to them for lots of different reasons. And I mean, I chose it, one, because I've got a wonderful arrangement, but also because it meant something for me, because I did it when I was a kid. I was only 10 years old and I did it as a school concert, and it's one of the most memorable experiences on stage I've had in 40 years.
And even my niece last year, who was 5, did it as her graduation play for her daycare centre.
Yeah.
So it still resonates. There are very few songs with as rich a history as Over the Rainbow. And when the film came out, it won the Academy Award for the Best Original Song and became Judy Garland's signature song.
Well, it's 80 years old or something now, isn't it?
It is. And right up until recently, Ariana Grande, she closed out One Love Manchester in her benefit concert for the victims of the Manchester concert bombing with this Wizard of Oz ballad. But the song has seen nearly 20 variations.
Willie Nelson did a version, I remember.
Oh, not only Willie Nelson, Eva Cassidy, my favourite version, and so many others. But this song is historically memorialised as being the 20th century standard, which was selected for preservation by the Library of Congress in 2017. And it topped the Record Industry Association of America's Song of the Century list and was also named the greatest movie song of all time by the American Film Institute. Why is it historically so important? How has it reached this point where 80 years later, La La Lounge is doing it as their first online song?
Yeah. Can you give us a little bit of history as to what was happening in the world at the time the song was written?
From 1929 to 1939, the world went through a massive economic depression and downturn. 1939 hits and Europe is suddenly at war. They've gone from a depression to a war. Everything is going topsy-turvy. Hollywood decides that they're going to make this marvellous film about hope and about this little girl, Dorothy Gale, who vanishes from Kansas, and she's looking at going to see the Wizard of Oz and looking for her dog. The song, of course, was first written and released for the film in 1939 by 2 of America's extraordinary music writers. But
well, that would have been Harold
Arlen, who was the great American composer of over 500 American standards, including Accentuate the Positive, so many other songs that we all remember from listening to, Tony Bennett and whoever else we might have, Ella Fitzgerald and, you name it, he's up there. But yet Harburg, the lyricist, was a different kettle of fish. Mm-hmm. He didn't come to writing lyrics as a professional. He came to it through the back door. He was actually a little bit of a hobbyist. What made him rich during the Depression was actually cut off just before the war. So at the end of the Depression and between the beginning of the Second World War, Harburg had made millions and lost it all. So he resorts to his pencil and paper. Now, both Harlan and Harburg had known some fairly hard times themselves. Harburg in particular had been born in New York, the son of Jewish immigrants. As I said to you, he lost his business. And as he said to the New York Times, the capitalists saved me in 1929 just as we were worth, about $250,000, as I was saying. Bang, the whole thing blew up. I was left with a pencil and finally had to write for a living. What the Depression was for most people was for me a lifesaver.
And that's what's coming out now. I'm sure that a lot of people will find what they've usually done as a hobby or a little passion they've had on the side. Now they've got time to explore it a bit more. They might find they connect with it really well, and who knows what the future holds. And that's what the song does too. It gives us an understanding that who knows what the future holds. What's over the rainbow? We don't know. You're here in the La La Lounge with Andrea Szabo interviewing Helen Simons about that song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
But Harburg in particular had been born poor in New York, the son of Jewish immigrants, having worked his way into prosperity in electrical supplies, believe it or not. His business was wiped out by the Great Depression.
The Depression and then the war, yeah.
And it left him with nothing but his wits and a promising sideline in writing. He told the New York Times, and this is interesting, the capitalists saved me in 1929, just as we were worth, about $250,000, so in today's language, could be about 5-10 million. The whole thing blew up. I was left with nothing but a pencil and finally had to write for a living. What the Depression was for most people was for me a lifesaver. So during the war, Judy Garland, of course, in 1939 was quite young. I think she was maybe 15 or something when she actually made the film.
Yeah.
In 1943, though, a special recording of the song was made with Judy Garland and Tommy Dorsey Orchestra. And it was pressed and sent out to all the American soldiers as a promise of better times to come.
Lovely.
And she also performed it live for the troops in 1943. So Judy played her part during the war. And Garland's version later became an anthem of possibility for the LGBT community. And the rainbow in the lyrics matching the multicoloured flag of inclusion flown at pride marches around the world, and the term friend of Dorothy even becoming a known reference for gay men. Judy's frail and really trembling voice embodied both the fragility of hope in dark times and the yearning that something good will eventually happen. But it's not just her version that has touched people down the years. As we've mentioned before, many artists have covered the song, from Willie Nelson to Rufus Wainwright to the cast of Glee.
Oh, that's right.
And even more interesting, which I find fabulously fascinating, that it was used by NASA to awaken their astronauts. So it had a purpose. It had a motivating purpose. It had an emotional link, and it certainly hooked into that earwig that we still remember. It's still somewhere. And I think that if anybody from the choir could ask their mothers or their grandmothers, even their grandchildren or their own children, what is it about the over the rainbow that they connect to? Over the rainbow can help to heal. And it feels deeply personal, as we know, and it's partly why I love Eva Cassidy's stripped down to the bone acoustic version. But all of that emotion, which has been hardwired into that song, it's a story of a little girl that wants to get out. She's in trouble and she wants to get somewhere. Well, the rainbow was the only colour that she'd seen in Kansas. She wants to get over the rainbow, but then Yip put in something which makes it a Yip song. He said, and the dreams you dare to dream really do come true. You see, and that word dare lands on the note. And it's a perfect thing. And it's been generating courage for people for years afterwards.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely, because a lot of us don't aspire to bigger things or different things or better things because there's a lot of fear there. But when you dare yourself to dream them, you have the possibility of creating them.
Absolutely. And so the rainbow is a sign of hope. Over the rainbow will continue to resonate probably for another 80 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to do it in 3-part harmony. Oh, Helen, thank you so much for that history.
My pleasure.
That's so lovely because the choir now will know more about this beautiful song that we're singing and why it means so much to everyone. So thank you for coming along to the La La Lounge. We will see you another time, I'm sure. And happy singing.